Hey everyone, we're going to talk about Batman Arkham Origins. I'm here with Evan Narcisse, who is reviewing the game for us. Say hi, Evan.
Hi, everybody. So Batman.
Batman, it's pretty great in general. This game, kind of okay. That's my opinion. That's not the official Kotaku opinion.
Right.
So my only gripe with it that I wanted to bring up was that I feel like I'm playing Arkham City again. Because you're just running around a city, and there's crime everywhere, there's no normal people anywhere. It feels like pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it is very reminiscent of Arkham City. The open world, just the way you get around it too, like the grappling and the gliding. There's a fast travel system with the Batwing, which is different and new. It makes things easier.
That is nice, yeah.
But it's very similar, and that's kind of a problem they have with this game is that they can't necessarily change things up too much. It's a problem for two reasons. One, it's a prequel, so I guess within the logic of the universe you've set up, you can't have things be radically different. Otherwise, it kind of invalidates the games that came before it but chronologically happened after it.
Yeah.
And it's a problem too because in the real world, like people want some of the same stuff in the game. I think.
Yeah, we have to have the same game that has the same mechanics and is really fun, but is also completely different and new, so that you'll buy it.
Right. Right.
So I understand their problems. I sympathize with them. But I don't love the game because it's good. It's a good game. There are other games that are also good, but they're also different.
Yeah, and new.
But if it's one of those like if you like Batman, you're gonna like this game because it's the same Batman game.
It's funny you talk about the new things, and one of the new things that they added this time is this crime scene investigation mechanic, right?
Oh, yeah.
And basically, you go to an area, and you're supposed to scrub a crime scene for clues, connect the clues together, and then it forms a narrative of what happened, and that lets you progress to whatever point you need to in the story.
Except the only thing is you're not actually connecting anything on your own with your human brain.
Right.
Batman's just kind of doing it, and you're pressing some button prompts.
Right. Right.
I guess I sound a little bitter about this.
The actual investigation is not much of an investigation. It's kind of hard to mess up.
Yeah.
And this feature reminded me of the memory hacks in Remember Me, which is a game that came out earlier this year. I liked Remember Me a lot, even though it was a far from perfect game. And if you were to compare the two of them overall,
Batman's obviously the much more polished game.
Right.
But again, that's what I mean. It's nice to see new things, even if they're not as well done.
Right.
So like in Remember Me, you could remix stuff, and the difference there was like here you're recreating a crime scene,
right?
And there you're like reaching into somebody's memory, so you could choose and change them.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of choice in the Batman thing. You're just kind of like looking at stuff.
Right. And the thing about Remember Me was there was actually more quote-unquote investigation. There were red herrings. There were things that you could do that would dead end and would mess you up. And you'd be wrong and you have to back out and change things up again. And also like the mechanic in Remember Me better because I felt like it had more narrative weight. Like it meant more in the story. And it also meant more to the characters that you were doing it with. Like I think there was one memory sequence where you had a guy think he killed his wife,
right?
And it was awful.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was so raw. I was like, damn, that's messed up. And there's nothing like that in the crime scene investigations in Arkham Origins.
Yeah, and also when I did the investigation thing, it's also gray. Everything's so I walked over the dead body without even realizing it was there the first time.
And to Remember Me, those memory remixes were actually some of the most visually interesting parts of the game. They were kind of surreal and trippy because you were inside somebody's brain. You didn't have to represent the real world in with any kind of fidelity whatsoever. So that was a nice part of it.
So this is developed by a different company. It's not Rocksteady this time.
Right. This is a different development studio, Warner Brothers Montreal, and this is their first full game. I think they had done the Wii U port of Arkham City before that. And you know, this owes a lot to the Rocksteady games. You know, the combat is pretty much the same, and the general template is the same. They've added a few things, but the big question now is that, okay, you've got two studios working on one franchise. Rocksteady, which has done previous Batman games, now Warner Brothers Montreal. There's been an assumption, kind of heavily rumored, that Rocksteady is, you know, probably going to do another Batman game. They're owned by Warner Brothers now, so that brings up the scenario of whether we are going to see Batman become like Call of Duty, where, you know, the cycle between the releases of the games gets a lot tighter. Maybe not every year, because that seems like overly ambitious.
But a constant stream of Batman.
Right, every 2 years you get a new Batman game. And, you know, you have to ask whether that's a good thing for the franchise, you know? Batman's a character that's more than 70 years old. He's got a deep pool of fill-ins and scenarios he can play through. But if this is something they wind up doing, they can't be all quote-unquote Arkham games. You know, I would like to see a Batman game that's, you know, maybe a little bit of a globe-trotting adventure, you know, like Batman, you know, in different cities or locales around the world. Doesn't have to be just Gotham.
Do they have rights to anyone else? Because maybe it could just be a different superhero.
There's stuff at the end of the game in a post-credit teaser, which I can't talk about because I don't want to spoil anything. But they hint at the fact that there's a larger world out there beyond Batman. The inclusion of Deathstroke is part of that. There's stuff there.
Who I hate. Just side note.
You hate Deathstroke. I think we both did. You hate him more
because of this game, not as a character.
Right. He's a cool character, generally.
But yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, but I think you're going to show. You're going to do something else with that. But you know, it's a game that falls in line with its predecessors. It doesn't necessarily exceed them, and you know, it'll be interesting to see who does next Batman game and what they do with it. This feels like maybe a little bit safe. Maybe I want more risk out of the next Batman game. I don't even know what that looks like, but that's kind of how I'm thinking right now.
Right, it has to look like something. Otherwise, you know, it just as long as it doesn't look like Arkham again.
Right. Yeah, I think that's my main thing.
The only other thing I think was the 100 vs. 1 mode, which is like a pre-order bonus or something.
Yeah, it's 100 to 1. It's a pre-order bonus.
And it's the Arkham games are renowned for their good punching. So now it's like you can punch 100 guys at once. Right.
The combat engine is kind of like horde mode, but with hand-to-hand combat, and you're basically thrown into this pit with you know, a swarm of characters, 100, I think, or maybe probably more than 100. Yeah, I think you have to beat 100. But the difficulty ramps up as you go along. You start off with just basic thugs, and then you get the armored ones, the martial arts experts, and you know, it's fun if you like the combat in these games, and I do. I like it a lot. There's an element of like reflex discipline to it. You can't button mash because you won't win with button mashing. You need to actually be following what the information on the screen is telling you to do in terms of countering and stuff like that. So it's fun.
Yeah. And it's if you're tired of traversal and running around the city and whatever, you just want to punch guys.
Right. If you don't want to be sneaky, you just want to punch guys.
Right.
Sometimes you just want to punch guys.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
And that's what this mode is good for.
So that's Batman Arkham Origins, and you can take a look at the review on our site, and there's a link in the description. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
He's making a full candy-based RPG, and this is kind of amazing. This is a house. Yes, in true RPG style, I can just go in and steal things.